We are joined now by Chief Erik Litzenberg, who is the chair of the IAFC Wildland Fire Policy Committee. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
This is really a timely topic with the fires that are happening out west. So explain to us some of the challenges that have been experienced this year because of those fires.
Sure. Yeah, as we've seen in the news, there's a lot happening out west, and it's really posing logistical and operational challenges to all of the fire service. And it's a problem that we've seen growing throughout the years. Operationally, one of the challenges that we keep seeing is trying to make sure we're getting the right resources in the right place. We know this nation, we have lots of firefighting resources, and it's often hard to get them to where they're needed, when they're needed, and that continues to be a problem we struggle with. We also see playing out in the media day in, day out the rising costs and the rising damage of these wildland urban interface fires. And it's important to make sure that we as a fire service are prepared, but that we're also preparing our communities for these issues as well. So yeah, operationally and logistically, we face some challenges with the Wildland Urban Interface, but I think we're dealing with it well.
So what is the discussion that's happening right now at the IAFC in regards to wildland fire?
Sure, so we're lucky enough to be able to spend a couple days before this conference as the Wildland Fire Policy Committee meeting and discussing where we stand as a fire service and where we can move forward. It's a great group of people, and we have some great discussions about how we can prepare our resources, how we can get those resources to the right places, and ultimately how we can get paid for those resources, because of course reimbursement if you're local fire chief is pretty important. Ultimately what we're trying to do is prepare all of our communities to safely navigate these fire seasons. In the last couple days we were lucky enough to meet with the Georgia Forestry Commission and talk about fire in the south, which of course is very different from fire in the west and fire in the northeast, although we certainly have similar issues. There are some differences as well. And they were kind enough to host us and talk about fire in the south and specifically fire in Georgia. And we as a committee and we as the IFC get to learn from the locals and figure out what resources are needed, how can we move forward, and really how can we make this one nation's fire problem and one nation's fire solution.
And what is happening at the policy level? I'm sure the IAFC is talking to lawmakers and the administration right now on Capitol Hill.
Yeah, a lot of what we're able to accomplish is through these partnerships and collaborations that we do as the Wildland Fire Policy Committee and the IFC does in general. We've got a cooperation with the national and state partners in something called the Wildland Fire Leadership Council, where we get together a few times a year and talk about how we all work together as a team, and it's pretty fruitful. We also have a National Strategic Committee that we have a member on from the IAFC that really takes that policy and turns it into action. And we've seen over the last couple of years this big project called the Cohesive Strategy come to fruition, and we're seeing the nation's resources work better together, and we're seeing the nation's landscapes become more resilient, more fire-adapted communities spring up. So we found that these partnerships with the national level leaders and with the state level leaders are certainly effective for us. And you know, we're just active on the Hill. These issues aren't unique, like I said, to the south. They're not unique to the northeast. They're not unique to the west. We all have the same issues, and it's the same discussions that are happening on Capitol Hill. So we make sure we're part of that discussion as the IAFC.
What are the resources that are available from the IAFC?
Well, the first, and probably I'm biased, but one of the greatest resources is the committee itself, the Wildland Fire Policy Committee. Great group of members, very knowledgeable. We're going over policy, we're going over solutions, and we're putting them on the IFC website. So it ends up with a long list of resources that a fire chief can use. There's another tool called Ready, Set, Go, and on wildlandfirersg.org, there's a whole list of resources that people can use. Videos that they can make theirs, booklets they can make theirs, and plain and simply information on how to keep your own resources safe. So IFC website has been well developed. The Wildland Fire Policy Committee puts a lot of great resources onto that site. So I'd say between the committee and the website, the local fire chief has all the resources they would need.
And you sound very optimistic. Do you see this as a growing problem in the future, or do you see this as really being something that can be more positive as we're moving forward in regards to containing these fires in a better way?
You know, I think what the IFC has created in general, and what the IFC has created with the Wildland Fire Policy Committee, it's hard not to be optimistic. It's a great group of people, a great group of minds who all are solution oriented. And they put us in a room with national leaders, with federal leaders and state leaders who are equally optimistic. It's hard not to see that there's a solution to all of the issues that we face. There's no question More people are moving into the country. There's no question that we're seeing larger scale fires that are affecting growing number of people, and there's no question that we see rising costs to these efforts. But when you've got these people and this commitment from the IAFC, Wildland Fire Policy Committee, and our partners, it's pretty hard not to be optimistic.
Well, Chief Erik Litzenberg, thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.